UFC 314 and the return to Miami is in the books, with a stacked card full of fun fights with a lot of hype and implications within many divisions, headlined by the returning Alex Volkanovski after a year out of the game, following the back-to-back losses to Islam Makhachev and Ilia Topuria, taking on a hyped and up-and-coming Diego Lopez, with a 5-round co-main event where the always game Michael Chandler was giving Paddy Pimblett a real test in coming up the lightweight rankings. This was alongside a fun card full of great fights. Could UFC 314 deliver on the hype? Let's find out. This is the Fight Franchise and the recap and review of UFC 314. The card started with the women's bout where Nora Canole took on Hayley Cohen, where both girls traded briefly where there was grappling where it was back and forth. Then in the second round, Canole would get the takedown and get the back of Cohen and cinch up the rear naked choke to start the card off with a finish. Next up, Tresean Gore and Marco Tulio went and scrapped out, where in the first round they traded with some big shots, where going towards the end of the first round, Tulio's striking was taking over, even sitting down Gore with a shot where they scrapped in a crazy first round. The second round continued like the first, with both scrapping it out, where Tulio scored a huge head kick but couldn't get the finish, where Gore survived, where Tulio pushed forward with a jumping front kick and a straight right and sent down Gore one more time, where the ref jumped in and waved off the fight, though Gore protested the stoppage. A great win for Tulio, and what a fight by both guys. Next up, a flyweight bout where Suma Durji took on Mitch Raposo, where both guys traded across a 3-round fight, where Raposo did look for takedowns with Suma Durji getting back up, where it went to the judges' scorecards, where Suma Durji won a decision in a close bout. Mikhail Oleslejczyk took on Cedric Dumas, where both guys traded on the feet across the first round, where Oleslejczyk would rock and drop Dumas, where he would land ground and pound with the ref jumping in, where Oleslejczyk showed his move to the fighting nerds is paying off. That brought the end to the early prelims. The prelims began with Darren Elkins taking on Julian Erosa, where off the bat Erosa landed big on Elkins, where even after a takedown from Elkins, Erosa still busted open Elkins, where across the first round Erosa would land big shots, where Elkins was looking for a takedown, where Elkins couldn't get the takedown and was being smashed with shots, and the ref jumped in, which was a good first round finish from Julian Erosa. Next up, a lightweight bout where Chase Hooper took on longtime veteran of MMA and the UFC, Jim Miller, where after bits of trading on the feet, Hooper took the fight to the ground, where he survived Miller's guillotine attempt, where Hooper threatened with a choke from Miller's back, but Miller reversed, where Hooper looked for the triangle with no luck. The second and third round played out similar to the first, where the younger Hooper was just better on the ground and more threatening to win the decision in what was a grapple-heavy contest. The next fight, Virna Jandiroba took on Yan Xiaonan, where Virna was adamant to get the fight to the ground, where across 3 rounds, Jandiroba did the better with her wrestling and grappling and submission attempts and control to win a comfortable decision, to most likely earn her a title shot for the women's strawweight title. The last fight of the early prelims, Dan Ige and Sean Woodson squared off, where the first round it was competitive back and forth on the feet, which seemed to go Ige's way, but the second round seemed to favour Woodson, though Ige did land some big offense. The final round was full of controversy. Ige would crack Woodson with a huge shot where he put the pressure on. Woodson was being landed on, where Woodson shot for a takedown, where Ige landed punches and the ref jumped in on what was most certainly an early stoppage. Unlucky for Woodson, who deserved to keep fighting on. As for Ige, another great win to add on to his standout featherweight resume of names. This was the end of some okay prelims. The main card began with Dominic Reyes taking on the returning Nikita Krylov, where this had huge stakes on who was going up the light heavyweight rankings, where straight from the get-go Reyes landed a huge shot which got Krylov's attention, where they traded on the feet, with Krylov pushing forward, where rushing in his chin up high, Reyes landed a beautiful straight to put Krylov out cold, with an amazing win to start the main card and get himself back amongst the players in the light heavyweight division and start his career comeback. The next fight, the most heated bout on the card, where Gene Silva was taking on Bryce Mitchell, which had a lot of bad blood and animosity going into the fight, where Gene was taunting Mitchell in the first round, who couldn't get the takedown, while Mitchell landed a few shots. Gene landed far less, which were much more impactful, where Silva looked for the choke at the end of the first round, but the bell went. The second round, Silva drops Mitchell and gets him to stand back up, where he was just piecing up a tentative Mitchell on the feet, where off a Mitchell takedown attempt, Silva got the ninja choke to put Mitchell to sleep as he tapped, to secure a big win where he moves way up the division and is maybe 1 or 2 wins off the title picture. As for Mitchell, he was very tentative in this bout. Like he was scared of losing, he needs to reflect and rebuild himself so he can get back in the win column. Next up, the debuting and hyped Patricio Pitbull was making his UFC debut versus Yair Rodriguez, where the size difference between both guys was evident, with Pitbull struggling to close the range, with Yair picking off Pitbull from distance in the first round, who barely landed anything. Round 2 was more of the same, with Pitbull throwing a bit more but still getting picked off at range. Round 3, Rodriguez dropped Pitbull, where he landed ground and pound, but Pitbull survived and threw up an armbar which Yair survived, where they both fought to the final bell, where Rodriguez won a unanimous decision, who hopefully gets a huge match on the Mexico pay-per-view. As for Pitbull, he looks tiny for featherweight. He needs to fight lower in the rankings and get a win and get some momentum after his failed debut. Next up, the co-main event saw Paddy Pimblett taking up a jumping competition against Michael Chandler, where we will finally see Pimblett against one of the better guys in the division compared to who he has fought. They squared off where Paddy was way bigger than Chandler and was chewing up his lead leg, where Chandler opted to grapple and was having success with Pimblett looking for submissions, where at the end of the round Pimblett was having success on the feet. The second round they traded on the feet where Chandler front kicked Paddy in the groin with a small break. Paddy pushed back the action where Chandler got a takedown, but Paddy reversed it and ended the round with Paddy on his back controlling and landing shots. The third round, Paddy landed a brilliant jumping knee to cut open Chandler where he was chasing him landing shots, and took down Chandler where he landed brilliant ground and pound to secure a brilliant TKO and the best stoppage and win of his career, where me and a lot of others need to stop doubting Paddy. As for Chandler, it looks like it's the end for him at the top of the lightweight division. The main event saw vacant featherweight gold on the line, with Alex Volkanovski returning after a year out of the octagon, taking on Diego Lopez, who was on a surging win streak, where they squared off where Volk returned looking rejuvenated like the Volk of old, where he had a brilliant first round against a measured and tentative Lopez, doing brilliant at range, even taking down Lopez at the end of the first round. More of the same in the second, with Lopez having a bit more success in the offense, where he was throwing a bit more, but towards the end of the round Volk ended up catching Lopez and making him go off balance, where Lopez would drop and land a huge shot versus Volk to end the round with a scare for Volk fans. The third round was back and forth and competitive, but many gave it to Volk, though Lopez had some moments. The fourth round, Lopez began landing against Volk and even hurt Volk bad with an uppercut and even cut his eyes, where Volk survived what was a clear Lopez round. The two exchanged in the final round, with Lopez hunting Volk, where he fought soundly till the final bell, where when the scorecards were read, Volkanovski won a brilliant decision in a great heartfelt moment of the year so far. Credit to Volk, who is probably the greatest featherweight of all time. As for Lopez, unlucky, I just feel he could have gave more, but it looks like a huge matchup versus Yair Rodriguez is around the corner for him. That brought the end to a really fun night of fights, and finally what felt like a pay-per-view delivering after so long. The early prelims was good and had some real fun action, especially the war of Trey Shangur and Marco Tulio. The prelims was okay and had some fun fights and moments, but Virna and Hooper's wins wasn't the best and most exciting action. The main card was where this card shone, with an amazing KO by Reyes, followed by a star-making performance by Gene Silva and a schooling by Yair Rodriguez. This was followed by an amazing beatdown by Paddy Pimblett and a fun competitive striking bout by Lopez and Volk. This was a great main card. If we was to grade this pay-per-view overall, it gets a B+. A fantastic Miami card which delivered, just missing that fight of the year type vibe or amazing finishes throughout or huge moments to take it up a tier. Up next, the UFC is off to Canada, and hopefully a pay-per-view which can finally deliver for the Canadian fans.